So today we're going to talk about the new patient experience. This is one of my very favorite things to talk about, my very favorite things to focus on in practice, because to be honest, if you can impress your new patients, everything else is easier. If people have a phenomenal experience in their first few interactions with you, they will forgive the small bad things if they ever come up later. They also are more likely to tell other people about you and send friends and family your way. And so you cannot, please do not underestimate how important this very first interaction is with you. If you struggle at all with retaining patients within your practice, then you should be looking at this. What happens from the first time they contact you until they leave that very first appointment with you? You really need to take a good look at it because we want to impress people. We want to surprise them with how good it is, how much better it is than anywhere else they've ever been. It is really crucial for setting your practice apart, making it so that you cannot be compared apples to any other practice, where we don't want to be seen as a commodity, and building great long-term relationships with your patients. As much as we hate it, first impressions matter immensely. Studies show that it only takes 7 seconds for someone to form a first impression. And in a dental practice, that can significantly impact patient retention and satisfaction. So you want to create a very memorable, pleasant first experience. It can make all the difference. Now, there is no one right way to make a great first impression. So I don't want you to take any of the examples that I give for my practices today to say that you have to do it that way. You don't. You get to decide what you want that experience to look like, and then you create it, and you will attract the people to you who want that experience. In our practice, we're an orthodontic practice. We really are, marketing mostly to moms. We cater mostly to a teenage demographic. Our patients, though, are as young as 6 and as old as 84. But the new patient experience that we've crafted is to appeal to the biggest segment of our patient base. So mostly to moms of like preteens and teens. That's really what the experience is all about. And our practice is known for being incredibly transparent and educational, but also for being incredibly fun and very caring. And so you have to define, what impression do you want to leave people with? Maybe, fun and bouncy and whatever, which is what we come off as, is just not your thing. That's cool. You don't have to be that. Maybe you really want your dental practice to be more like a spa, more like a vacation. You want people to feel relaxed and really well taken care of and like they're a VIP. That's cool too. You can do whatever you want. I just think you need to do whatever you're going to do with a lot of intention and a lot of thought behind it to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward every single time. So we really want every new patient to feel, of course, welcome and comfortable from the moment they walk through the door. I'm not going to talk about phone calls in this class this week because I did just do one on phone calls, but that phone call really does set the stage, because if it didn't go well, never mind, they might no-show the appointment. But if they already have an idea about you that isn't amazing, you're going to have to do a lot in this first in-person visit to turn that around. If they already had a good experience on the phone, they're already walking in with a bit of a positive feeling about you, which is great because they're more likely to look for the other good things because they've already decided they like you a little bit. So when people come in, so that first entry into your practice, this is when that first 7 seconds happens, folks. So how do we make it so that when new patients come in, they feel welcome and comfortable and maybe excited about what's to come? Brainstorm. I want you to talk with your team, talk to other people, and figure out what this is like. This is partly office aesthetics, right? What does it look like, right? Is your practice like clean? Is it giving off the vibe you want? Are things in disarray or bad repair? That would be bad. Because they will assume, as an example, if you have a lot of broken things in your reception area, or ripped up magazines, or dents in the wall, or dirty cushions, or whatever, they're going to assume that if you don't really care too much about the appearance of your reception area, that you don't really care too much what's happening inside their mouth either. And I know that is likely maybe unfair, but it is a very reasonable assumption to your average human. So go into your reception area, look around, sit, touch things, move around. What do you see? What does it smell like? What can you hear? Right? Use all of your senses, like use all of them and see like what is the vibe that you're giving off, and is that the vibe you want to give off? As an example of aesthetics, in our reception area, we have living room furniture. It's not waiting room furniture. We have like couches and a centerpiece that looks a bit like a fireplace, and you know, a TV on the wall. We do have like a little games area in a nook, but we wanted it to come off like a living room, not like a waiting room. And so people come in and they always go, oh, so cozy, right? They get comfy on a chair. Everyone's just on their phone scrolling anyway, but people like that look, right? It doesn't feel so medical. Another thing, of course, is your people. What is your team like? Is your team, you know, smiling at every person that walks in the door, even if they're busy doing something else? When possible, are they actually greeting them and using their name, like as much as they possibly can? Are you prepping your patients when they come in for what the experience is going to be? Like, oh, Mrs. Jones, it's so nice to meet you. I'm so glad you're at the practice today. Just so you know, you can sit anywhere here in the reception area that you like, and someone will be out to grab you shortly. We've got a coffee machine around the corner, and the washrooms are just out that door and down the hallway, second door on the left. If you need anything at all, I'm here to help. Something like that. So you need to set them up for success. You want them to feel like they're not guessing, they know exactly what's going to happen, and that you haven't forgotten about them. I don't know how many times I've walked into a medical establishment of some kind and walked up to reception or whatever and said, I'm here. You know, they didn't even look up at me. They're on the phone ignoring me. Then they look up and I say, okay, you know, I'm here. I had an appointment at noon. And they go, okay, go sit down. And then I sit and I have no idea how long I'm going to be sitting. Because I know my doctor, as an example, doesn't run on time, but it'd be really nice if they said, you know, like, hey, thanks so much for being here on time. Just so you know, Dr. Stagger's running half an hour behind. She's trying to catch up, but we'll let you know when we can get you back, right? Anything like that is super helpful. So being the friendly, helpful person at the front really does a great job to set the tone for the entire visit, right? I think it's important to have things that create a welcoming atmosphere. So things like we have a fabulous coffee machine that we spend a lot of money on, but people talk about our coffee all the time, so it's worth it. We have like an old school arcade video game in the corner that dads really like, but so do all of the kids. Of course, it's always very clean. It's organized. My receptionists know that they're always like fluffing pillows and tidying up throughout the day so that it always looks spick and span spotless. You want to make sure that it's always clean and in good repair and stocked with amenities. We have like cookies as a snack, like whatever you want to do that you think people are going to notice and that they will appreciate. I know we run into the issue sometimes of too many people in our reception area because kids beg to come with their sibling who has appointments because we have treats. So because we have snacks and a cool video game and whatever, then other kids want to come up. And sometimes that makes it a little bit loud and chaotic, but families are happy that everybody wants to be there and they're excited when they get to come visit us. Another thing I want you to think about is how can you make the experience personalized to each person? Now, none of these things have to be expensive or difficult, but it's something to put some thought into. So let's say you have a patient coming in and the team knows what they're coming in for. They're a new patient. If you're a general dental office, of course, you don't know what they need. So you're going to have to figure that out. So how can your team help this person get to a place of feeling comfortable and like they know, like, and trust you as fast as possible? That comes down to their energy and their words more than anything else. Meaning when they go to gather someone out in the reception area, they need to be approaching them with an energy of, I'm excited to meet you. I'm so excited you're here. I can't wait to get you back and show you all the cool stuff that we do around here. They can't be coming out like, Mrs. Jones, follow me. No, that would never fly in my office. It should be something more like, oh, Mrs. Jones, so nice to meet you. My name is Jane. I'm one of the dental assistants here in the office. I'm going to bring you back so we can get everything started for today, and I'll walk you through the entire process. Do you have any questions for me before we get going? Right? We want to make sure that communication is always open and accessible, that we're always telling them that we're there for them and that we're happy to answer questions or help them with anything. Someone who's really nervous might open up to you right away and be like, oh, I'm so terrified. I really hate the dentist. You'd be like, oh, it's okay. That's super common. So many people get nervous about dental visits. Don't worry. We're going to walk you through everything here. And most of our patients tell us it's the best dental visit they've ever had, if that's the truth, of course, right? So there are ways then that you can put them at ease, that you can then tailor their experience. So someone who's really nervous might want a lot of explanation. Someone who's nervous might also want no explanation. And so you can ask them what's going to be best for them. And everything you do should be smooth and efficient, meaning you should have systems and communication in place in the practice so that when someone checks in, everybody else knows they're there. If you're running behind, let's say you have a rule that if you're ever running behind more than 10 minutes, that reception checks in with the patient to let them know that you're running behind and no one's forgotten about them and they'll be there shortly. There are many, many things you can put in place to make this as smooth and seamless as possible. Now, of course, a general rule of thumb should be never let your new patients wait, because like I said before, if that first visit is stellar, then if they happen to have to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes when they come see you next time, they're going to forgive you that. But if their first impression is that you wasted their time, they showed up on time, and then you didn't come get them on time, it's harder to recover from that than the other way around. So make sure that you know. A great way to also tailor the experience to make it as personalized as possible is your receptionist, when they do take that first new patient call, can be asking them if they have any preferences or particular concerns. So everyone has a heads up before they come in. If someone's super, super nervous and they've said that on the phone, that should be flagged in the chart somewhere right away, so that when the dental assistant is going to get the patient, they already know that they're nervous and they already know that there's a few questions they might want to ask that patient to try to make this as relaxing and non-anxiety inducing as possible. And so it's important that information gets passed from like team member to team member. Now, to make it special, and I always like to say, you want them to be pleasantly surprised. Think of all the ways that you've been pleasantly surprised. I always say, use your personal experience. Have you ever gone to an establishment, a restaurant, a store, a healthcare provider, anything, and been pleasantly surprised? Think about it. If you have, you want to try to create that similar feeling for people where they are going to get more than they expected. People usually have some kind of idea of what a dental visit is going to look like. If they get something that's more than expected, especially something that they, didn't think they just paid for, right? Something that's more than expected, they're going to remember it. It makes it a memorable experience, which means they're more likely to talk about it, and that's what you want them to do. So how can you have memorable touch points? Maybe that's something like follow-up calls after they've left, right? The doctor calling or another team member calling to see how they're feeling, to address any concerns, right? Like something very personal to them. Maybe you have like a welcome package of some kind that they receive at the practice when they're there that they can take home with them, or something that gets sent to them in the mail. Maybe you offer some, I know some dental offices do some kind of spa stuff where while you're waiting for the doctor, you get, a paraffin hand wax or a foot rub or whatever. I honestly think that memorable gestures or memorable experiences are like the sky's the limit. Whatever you can think of creatively that you think will make you stand out, you should absolutely do. Like, absolutely. And like I said, it doesn't have to be expensive or difficult, but it's something that you do intentionally. We have things like really fun. We try to find really fun, unique prizes for the kids, so that when they, at their visit, their first new patient appointment, this is for anyone probably under the age of 12, we have like a prize menu, and they can pick anything off of the prize menu that they want. And it's stuff that you wouldn't normally have at a dental practice. So we think that's really fun. We also have a comfort menu. So for our patients, we have, again, a sheet. So if someone is feeling a little bit nervous or scared or worked up about anything we're going to do, we let them pick from the comfort menu. We've got like weighted blankets, headphones, eye masks, fidget spinners, like all of that stuff that they can pick from to try to make the experience more comfortable in the chair. But honestly, and these things we've come up with over time, just with like team brainstorms of like, what are the things we can do to make it memorable? Another way you can do this, if you don't think you can do it in that way, like in the actions that are happening or what you're providing, when we think about not being a commodity and we think about being unique and different from another practice, a lot of that comes down to the value they feel that they received when they leave your practice. So if someone comes in for a new patient appointment and everyone was so kind and nice and the right words and energy were used and it was smooth and it was efficient and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they still get, a quote on a piece of paper that's the same as the guy up the street that they saw last week, and they look exactly the same. So it says like, you need 1 crown, 2 fillings, and some tooth whitening or whatever. And those line items are written, and then the price is there beside it. And they can just look at the two and look at the pricing. They may think that they are comparing an apple to an apple. You likely know that that is not the case. And some people who truly value the experience won't even consider the other place because they were treated so well at your place. But one way to set yourself apart is to make sure that those 2 pieces of paper could never be compared. And that means providing more value to your patients in the treatment you're providing and the quotes you're providing to them and the information they get when they leave your practice, so that they could never say, oh yeah, these 2 are the same. That's the word you don't want. These 2 are the same. You're not the same. So maybe you have things that get bonuses that get thrown in, added on, packaged in, or that every patient receives. And this can sometimes just be information products, right? Oh, every patient that comes in for a new patient exam gets this, guide that we created for people on how to keep their teeth for a lifetime. And that gets included. Every patient in our practice that gets a crown gets free whitening. Every patient that gets X gets Y, right? And you start figuring out the things you can pair together or things that you can always give to people so that they're receiving much more than just a crown or much more than just a cleaning. And again, like the sky's the limit, like the limit on what you can create for people. We have like all kinds of little things we've done over time. We have many, like we have coiled notebooks that we've created. We wrote a book. We've got so many things that we give to people that they get when they come see us that are not just a piece of paper. Our consult packages that go out to people that are digital are like 20 slides long. They have all kinds of information in them. We have bonuses that we give to people, like with ultrasonic cleaners and tooth whitening and all of that stuff, for anybody who starts treatment same day. There are lots and lots of things that you can pile on or add on that just feel like yay extra, right? Yes, they might be paying for it because you could probably offer more and your fees will be higher than the guy down the street, but they will see the value in it if you present it correctly. Okay, so it's about pleasantly surprising everyone and building value where you can. Now, I don't suggest that you just go in and change your whole new patient experience from top to bottom all at once. No. Start working on the really easy things or the really important things first, right? Do an audit of how your phone calls are happening. Then figure out what's happening when they first walk into the practice. Make sure reception is as bang on perfect as you can possibly make it. Work with your team on how they gather people up and bring them back. Work on case presentation, right? How is treatment being presented to your patients? How is the value that you provide being presented? Are we using visuals? Are we using layman's terms? Like all the little things. I've done a whole thing on case presentation. You can find that video somewhere else. And then what happens after they leave? Are you following up? Do they know you still care? Where are the small places where you did awesome things, like the most amazing coffee machine ever? You gave them, an awesome little tour of the practice. Maybe you give them a little gift, like just a thank you gift for coming. People love free stuff. Like it doesn't have to be expensive free stuff. They just love free stuff. So you want to make sure that they feel like you valued their time, like the time they took to come and see you. I love brainstorming ideas for new patients. And again, it depends practice to practice what makes sense to you, because I have to have a sense of like, what kind of experience do you actually provide to people and what parts do you want to highlight and what kind of person are you trying to appeal to? But if you ever want to brainstorm ideas, just let me know. I'm happy to like chat over, Messenger or whatever, back and forth on ideas, because I've always got a million ideas of things that you can try or do. And maybe you have some too, but just aren't sure how to implement them. I think that an amazing new patient experience is the most important thing in growing a practice. If you can nail this, your word of mouth referrals over time will go up exponentially. I know that because that's exactly what's happened in our practice. So going from, 850K to over 5 million meant we had to focus on certain things. And what we focus on so much still all the time is the new patient experience. Do people feel special? Do they feel like we value them? Can they not compare us to anyone else? So you want to do the same thing. And then people will talk about you and you will become the place that everyone wants to go to. And that's how you build the practice of your dreams. Okay, everybody? I should be back live next week, maybe still jet lagging a little bit, but I will see you then. I hope you're having a phenomenal summer. Bye-bye.